Welcome back. April 27th, 2021. Winston Churchill taught us, according to Leo Strauss, that we involved in politics, either as citizens or political science, quote, are supposed to train ourselves and others in seeing things as they are. And this means, above all, in seeing their greatness and their misery, their excellence and their vileness, their nobility and their triumphs, and therefore never to mistake mediocrity, however brilliant, for true greatness. In our age, this duty demands of us, in the first place, that we liberate ourselves from the notion that value statements cannot be factual statements, close quote. There's that old fact-value distinction we can talk more about later if you want. But the main point here is the one most easily forgotten, especially in our academic and intellectual classes. The main point, often forgotten, is we are supposed to train ourselves and others in seeing things as they are, and then, of course, making judgments about them. But the judgments cannot come or be fair or rational if they are based on faulty or false data or propaganda or suppositions that don't bear out. The left may tell us the view that America is a great country is a value, not a fact. I happen to think we can summon reason and intellect sufficient enough to proclaim it a fact. Start with the question of compared to what? But the odd thing, I guess the tribute hypocrisy pays to relativism, is that the left will tell you it is not only a value that America was never that great, but also a fact. In other words, the values and facts the left likes to tell us are not and cannot be one and the same is only true for conservatives. They turn their values, if not into facts, then into near theological certainties all the time. Nowhere is this more true in our politics than when it comes to crime and race, or policing and race. Where the police are charged with protecting citizens under the laws of the state, they are seen as obviously an arm of the state, a defender of, a protector of the government, or at least the law as well as the fellow citizens. But these police are also something else. They are imperfect human beings, and if you push them enough, make their lives miserable enough, assume the worst about them a priori, you will get headlines like this, quote, City Police Department losing officers at an alarming rate, close quote. That's in Poughkeepsie. And just in Poughkeepsie, over 200 years of policing experience will be lost with the early retirements there. How about this headline, quote, NYPD experiences 75% increase in early departures, close quote. And then, in violation of all common sense, we learn what C.S. Lewis told us. You cannot remove the organ and demand the function. You cannot castrate the herd and bid the geldings be fruitful. And yet that's exactly what we try to do. We inflate and exaggerate police racism. We make the lives of police, already perhaps the most stressful profession in the country. We make the lives of police suspect and miserable. And we wonder, how is it violent crime increased at an unprecedented level and police are quitting, all at the same time? Mitch Albom is a tremendously interesting person and writer. I give you his most recent. When U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was asked last summer what society would look like with defunded police, she naively answered, a suburb. Not exactly. I know what a nation with weakened or underfunded police looks like. I see it every month in Haiti. Some readers know that for the last 11 years, I've operated an orphanage in Port-au-Prince. Last weekend, another orphanage just outside of town was attacked in the middle of the night. According to media reports, more than 15 armed assailants scaled fences, blocked the entrance, and proceeded to kill a security guard, rape a 15-year-old girl and a 27-year-old woman, sexually assault a 13-year-old, beat down the director and his wife, and ransack the property, all while demanding money the orphanage didn't have. The police can't do anything, the manager told the Miami Herald. My wife kept calling and couldn't get through. You might think a poor orphanage would be safe even where criminality is high, yet that same weekend, 5 Catholic priests and 2 nuns were kidnapped in Haiti on the way to their parish. They are being held for a ridiculous ransom. Abductions and kidnappings of all kinds, clerics, tourists, even poor citizens who have nothing, happen almost daily now in Haiti. Gangs control the streets, men on motorcycles swoop in and attack. You constantly hear the police can't do anything. Last month, a dozen members of a SWAT team tried to change that. They drove 2 armored vehicles into a shantytown that is home to one of Haiti's most dangerous gangs. The people in that area shouted and pointed at the police, believed they were directed them to the gang's headquarters. Instead, according to Haiti's largest weekly newspaper, they were led into a giant hole where gang members then opened fire, killing 4 of the officers, wounding 8 others, and dragging the dead bodies through the streets. They also captured both armored vehicles, burned one, kept the other, and stole all the weapons, body armor, and they also stole radio equipment. We've been calling the police for backup for 2 hours, one of the SWAT officers pleaded in a phone call while he was pinned down, but they've never sent it. Right now, it's every man for himself. They're trying to burn 6 of our guys in one of the vehicles. I will never remain on this police force. I have a wife and children. If they don't send backup, soon I'm going to shoot myself because I don't want the bandits to finish with me in their way. Close quote. That phone call was both shocking and illuminating. The police in Haiti are limited, underpaid, underprotected. As a result, many have chosen to stand down in the face of increased violence, or worse, to look the other way and help the criminals in their attacks. The citizens, realizing the police can't help them, often become reliant on gangs for protection. Today, one of Haiti's most noted gang leaders is himself a former cop. Now, Haiti is not America, and its challenges are unique, but the triangular relationship between criminals, citizens, and police is basic. The weaker the police become, the more emboldened the criminals become, and the more endangered the citizens become. Haiti, by the way, has much more restrictive gun laws than the U.S. Doesn't stop the weapons flow to the people who do the most harm. I wonder what many beleaguered Haitians who only wish a police officer could be summoned with an answered phone call think of our current outcries in America to get rid of the police, end the police, declaw, or defund the police. Or the off-the-wall statement posted by Rashida Tlaib last week, quote, I am done with those who condone government-funded murder. No more policing, incarceration, and militarization. It can't be reformed, close quote. I'm not sure what Tlaib, if she got her way, would do with people who kill, rob, and rape others. Can't police them, can't use force against them, can't put them in jail. What would it look like? Oh yeah, what I've described in Haiti. Most rational people agree that police behavior in the George Floyd and Daunte Wright cases, and others like them, cannot and should not be tolerated. Reform is desperately needed in training, de-escalation, attitude, sensitivity, perception. But to observe what happened with Daunte Wright, the 20-year-old black man who, after a traffic stop in suburban Minneapolis, was shot by a police officer who mistakenly used her gun instead of a taser, and then conclude the answer is no more police, is nonsensical. And the idea that such deadly encounters happen frequently and therefore leave no conclusion but to throw out the whole system is a media-driven impression, not a factual one. There may be people who value it, it's just not true. There are millions of encounters between police and citizens every year, hundreds of millions. Yet from 2015 to 2020, according to the Washington Post and Statista, the number of civilians shot and killed by police has stayed about the same, around 1,000 a year. That's 1,000 a year killed, many of whom are armed, threatening, or committing a crime at the time. This in a nation, 1,000 killed in a nation of 330 million people. A little less than half of those killed are white. A little less than a quarter are black. A little less than a fifth are Hispanic. Meanwhile, during the same stretch, according to NPR, officers have fatally shot at least 135 unarmed black men and women over that 5-year period. That averages to 22 per year. That's still 22 too many. Agreed. Absolutely. But the black population in America is 42 million. So as a percentage, annually, the number of unarmed killed is less than 0.00001%. Less than 1/1,000,000th of a percent, if my math is right. Does it feel like that? Or do politicians and talking heads jump on individual cases and stretch them over months of coverage, creating the impression that the problem is far more pervasive than the numbers indicate? Worried people in dangerous neighborhoods are usually the last ones screaming to defund the police. Politicians, they should note that. Demanding change and accountability in how officers operate makes total sense. Junking the police does not. A country with a weakened, undermined, or absent law enforcement isn't a suburb. It's a scary place. Ask Haiti. I'll say it again. Recognizing things as they truly are seems simple or simple-minded, perhaps even old-fashioned. But as Phil Coulson in The Avengers says, with everything that's happening, the things that are about to come to light, people might just need a little old-fashioned right now. I'm Seth Leibson. We'll be right back.